Hi all, I just want to put together a quick video about the Exandria Unlimited. Just got finished watching Reader Skeeter's video and I thought, let me take a break and put my own thoughts out here and see what people think. I kind of apologize for the stuff in the back. I'm working on some terrain pieces. Gonna be GMing this weekend, so got to get busy. But with that said, this isn't going to be one of those typical reviews that you've probably been seeing go up on Twitter where it's, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Abria's the best. We love you. It's not going to be that. This is going to be more of what I consider a down to earth review. Here, my wife is in there like going crazy on some chips. And that she did a good job. Is it great like everybody's saying? God, no. Is it definitely like watching a brand new GM try and figure out what they're doing? Yes, despite the fact that she's been out in the TTRPG space for a while. Yeah, it does have a bit of a rough start. One of the first things, I don't keep this as spoiler free as I can. I won't really go into plot details, but there'll be some specific things that I want to mention to kind of explain my point. But one of the biggest flaws so far that has come about with this particular show is that Abria plays to the camera a lot. A lot, a lot. I mean, like, it is to the point that you're watching her expressions more than you're paying attention to the story. It is always so animated. And a lot of that, from the other shows I've seen, she does a lot of what I consider nervous smiling and just goofiness for no reason. But she is definitely playing a puppet show to the camera. And again, I understand she's coming from the online TTRPG space where you're doing nothing but staring into a camera. You can't necessarily see the other people you're looking at, so you're trying to always be animated to make the show more enjoyable, which generally speaking doesn't make too many shows that great, which is why a lot of the online shows, they don't have that same pull effect as Critical Role. Critical Role is great because the people are at the table. They ignore the cameras and they interact with each other. And Abria has forgotten that's the number one rule when you're sitting at a table. You want to be great? Don't pay attention to the camera. She doesn't play to her players, she plays to the camera too much. I mean, it is excessively noticeable. Um, and with that, along those same lines, it's like there are times where if a player wrote, she's like, well, I want to just, make this roll for this kind of information or this kind of history or to notice this kind of situation. And she goes, oh man, you had a really low roll. Well, that's fine if they had a low roll. But don't go, well, since you didn't get a low roll, the audience sees X, Y. We're watching the show. We're there with the players. Do not go, hey, the audience sees, because you're encouraging, a lot of metagaming, and it's just bad. You're taking them out of the scene. If you want to describe, uh, docks or the weather for the day or any other areas, that's fine. Be as descriptive as you want, but don't stop and go, well, the audience sees this major plot thing, so don't do that. That's bad GMing, period. Now, with that said, she does a great job at describing things. I mean, a wonderful job. The boat scene. Again, I'm trying to keep it spoiler free. Wonderful job of describing that. But there's a downside to her descriptions, and that is she herself doesn't remember the things that come out of her mouth. I will give you at least two examples. The first one I'll go ahead and give you now. The first one is when she's talking to Liam's character. And as we all know, Liam is a very detail-oriented person. Well, she made a very poignant point of saying, hey, at the end of this particular scene, it's starting to rain. As this story continues and we get back to the point where everybody is caught up, he brings it up the rain, and she goes, oh yeah. She forgot that, you made rain. In a game where you're trying to get yourself in the mindset, daytime, nighttime, good weather, bad weather, all those things are important. And as a GM, it is your responsibility that if you tell your players a detail like that, you write it down. I am hardly ever in the player's seat. So, as a GM, when I do tell my players a weather effect, especially if they ask me for something particular, if I haven't rolled for it, I write it down so that I can make sure that going forward, I can be very descriptive. The other thing that kind of showed that this show was going to be a little off the rails was, I'll say this. They were in a city. The campaign starts in a city. What's the first thing any GM worth their salt, veteran or newbie, knows to do? In a city, where are your players going to go? A tavern. She did not have a tavern name come up with, which wound up being a funny scene, and I'm sure you'll enjoy watching it once you get around to watching the video if you haven't already watched it. But that is paramount. I don't care if you have 15 minutes to work on your story. You always build a tavern, who owns it, an item shop, blacksmiths if you want to have a blacksmith in town, and optional potion shop. Those are basics. And when you're not doing that, that sort of sets the tone. Well, you don't need to know the next town's tavern, or the next town, or the next town, or the next town. But if it's your starter town, that's just sorry GMing. Plain and simple. There's no excuse for that. And all people, well, she's new again. No, she's been in this space for a very long time in the online TTRPG community. They've had several practice runs. That's not an excuse. I found out today I'm going to be GMing this weekend. I'm working on stuff. I've had 15 minutes or less to come up with, a story because we want to introduce somebody because they asked me really quick. They're like, can you come up with something? Sure, give me 10 minutes. I'm going to have a story with multiple branching paths, at least 3. 2 will get you by, but you try to work on 3. But if I want to start you in a city, there's going to be a tavern already named because that sets the tone. You can start an entire, I know a lot of people are tired of it, but entire stories have been started from people saying something in the tavern and then taking your campaign from there. Making everything up on the fly. That's basic GMing. And she didn't have that much prepared. One of the other things I want to get into is that we're all dice lovers. We all hoard them. I got new dice last week. But in this case, there are too many rolls going on in this campaign. I mean, an excessive amount of rolling, even during conversational pieces. It's like, when it gets to a ridiculously large level, like, you need to stop. Like, even I'm like, this is too much rolling. That's craziness. The players themselves did a great job. You got the newbies, Robbie, Amelia, or Amy. Great job for newbies. Great job. They're again, as their opening experience into the CR world, I kind of wished a little better for them. But, it'll get better. I will say that by the end of it, like I said, I am looking forward to this Thursday's episode. The other critique I have is that the story wasn't cohesive. It was almost built, again, being already around, not giving away spoilers, as a one-shot. And not even like a good one-shot. The story itself had one of the players very uncomfortable with what they were being asked to do. And as a GM, that should have been apparent. Yes, that player said, you know what, screw it. I'll go along with it, because obviously this is our only option. It's like, you can tell that if they hadn't done that activity, this story was dead in the water. It was going nowhere and nowhere fast. Now, you get to the end of the episode, and that's where it gets incredibly pigeonholey, where the players are at this particular location. They've been told that area is pitch black. So they leave that area, then something happens outside that area, and the GM goes, well, these people show up, and now you went back into that place. You gave the players no roles to say, what did you do in this moment? You took away player agency. You just said, oh, you're outside that building that I've just said is pitch black. Now you went back inside of it, and oh well, I need to put. Well, the bad guys are not in there. Well, they were just outside, but they teleported inside, and we went in after them like morons. In the pitch black building. Oh, yeah. So we can't see. Oh well, now you can see. Because I made this map, and we're gonna use it. That is the worst thing to tell your players. It says no matter what you do, I don't care about you. We're gonna do it my way. This is a joint game. I don't have Dungeon Forward. You see this stuff back here? All this back here? I make pieces that I need if I want to run a particular campaign. And even if they don't use it, it's fine. I don't care. I enjoy making this stuff. You've got access to Dungeon Forward. You can make any piece you want really quick during the break, depending on where things are going to go. And you didn't do it. You didn't have your story together. You got too many roles. You're not keeping track of details. And you're taking away player agency. The game is about having a good time and doing whatever. I'm all about that. Have a good time. You don't even need the rule books for a lot of it. But if you're going to give out details, you need to be at least straight on your own details. Am I looking forward to this Thursday's episode? You bet your buck. I will continue to support Critical Role, and I think this is a very good experience. I think a lot of the praise from this is sadly not because of her GMing style, but she looks like me. The POC, and a lot of people are happy about it. The show was getting praised before it ever even came out. And it's really sad. I kind of take like that bronze girl approach. Don't like it just because of her skin tone. Like, make it because it's a good product. A lot. There are a lot of people who could have filled that role and done a much better job. But I think the show will get in a better position. It's just there's just a lot of just not paying attention on the GM's part. You've got 2 newbie players and 3 vets. And again, like I said, Ashley, as we all know, is the eternal newbie. Maybe season 3 comes on, she'll surprise us all and know all this stuff. But she's the eternal newbie, and you didn't bring your best game. What would I like to see going forward? Granted, it's already pre-recorded and all that kind of stuff, but what would I hope happened? Again, stop playing to the camera. It's not about the camera. It's about the players at the table. If you want to keep playing to the camera, go back to your online TTRPG stuff. Critical Role is great because of the table. It's like Marisha said. They didn't just do their next season or continue season 2 when the pandemic hit. They waited so they could get to the table. And if Abria can't understand that table and the people there are what's important, she doesn't need to be on Critical Role. A lot of people aren't going to like that I said that. But that's the fact. She can go back to the online TTRPG space. Maybe we can bring in that bronze girl or somebody else who could do the role, who will understand that it's about the table and having a good time. Read the room. But don't take away player agency. If you don't have stuff put together, come up with it on the fly. Write down your notes on the fly. If I can do it, I assure you anybody else can. But I think that show's going to go places. I hope it goes places. Let me know your thoughts.